Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Robbyn Wacker. As the president of St. Cloud State University, I would like to welcome everyone to the Zero Project 2021 virtual conference. We are honored to be invited to share a panel on employment of people with disabilities in China. As a founding member university of the Global University Disability and Inclusion Network, we are committed to championing this work and partnering with universities and organizations to advance the education and employment for individuals with disabilities in China. And now it is my honor to introduce the Austrian ambassador to China, Ambassador Friedrich, who also has some remarks to share with you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure for me to send you warm greetings from Beijing. I'm Austrian ambassador to China since July 2017 and honored to be a part of the 2021 Zero Project Annual Conference. In the past years, I have had the opportunity not only to learn about the rich history and culture of China, but also about the disability community and China's efforts to remove existing barriers. Regretfully, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we are not able to be together in Vienna at the United Nations. I'm hopeful that the virus will be contained in the second half of 2021, and next year we all can meet in person again. People with disabilities are still subjected to various forms of discrimination and social stigma. In Austria, we attach great importance to barrier-free access to offices and other places of work for persons with disabilities. This is an essential prerequisite in order to be able to lead a self-determined and independent life and enjoy social recognition. It is a matter of great importance to support the rights and interests of persons with disabilities, also at the United Nations, in order to give them an adequate voice. Austria's social policy is geared towards integrating people with disabilities into the labor market. Employers are obliged to employ a certain number of them, but more has to be done. I am very happy to see the inclusion of China and individuals from China in the Zero Project Conference. The global impact this organization is making in advancing the rights, education and employment of persons with disabilities is impressive. This conference, people-to-people exchange, best practices and research sharing are of great importance. This year, Austria and China are celebrating 50 years of diplomatic relations. We have planned many events and activities. I'm grateful to share opening remarks with you. I wish you success in your great efforts to give more opportunities to individuals with disabilities in China and the world. A lot needs to be done. The conference definitely helps to raise the level of awareness that a considerable group of people is still discriminated. I would like to thank you for your work and contribution to redress the situation and send you very best wishes. Special congratulations go to our Chinese friends who are celebrating these days Chinese New Year. My very best wishes.
Dear Catherine, dear colleagues in China and in the United States of America, dear participants worldwide. It is a great privilege for me and for our institute to be part of this wonderful project, the Zero Project. As sinologist and director of the Confucius Institute at the University of Vienna, I am very honored to join this China panel. Let me express our gratitude to the Austrian ambassador in China, His Excellency Friedrich Stift, for his warm words. And let me also introduce now Mr. Zhou Haibin. He is the founder and executive director of Easy Inclusion, coordinator of ILO Global Business and Disability Network China.
Dear participants from the Zero Project Annual Conference, it's my pleasure to share with you ILO Global Business and Disability Network China chapter, and also about our social enterprise is inclusion practice in China, that how we promote inclusive employment for people with disability in China. We have several other colleagues will share with you some best practice. So from my side, I will share with you some general background about employment for people with disability and how we deal with the challenges and some solutions we provided to our customers and companies and people with disability in China. So firstly, I will introduce a little bit about myself. My name is Haibin Zhou. I'm the CEO of Easy Inclusion, a social enterprise that connects business and people with disability for inclusive employment. And I'm also the coordinator for ILO Global Business Disability Network China chapter. So in my introduction, firstly, I will share with you the situation of employment for people with disability in China. There are more than 85 million people with disability here, and also there is about 33 to 34 million people with disability are in their working age. The employment rate, according to the Chinese authority, is about 38%, which means that there are many people with disability face challenges entering the inclusive labor market. So far, as we have interviewed with companies, with our beneficiaries, we find that there are many factors that hinder people with disability go to the labor market. Firstly, from the employer side, there are a lot of challenges faced by the employers. We have an interview into more than 121 companies in China, and we find that more than 70% of them would like to employ people with disability. But when we ask them if you have a non-disabled person and a disabled person who have similar capacity interview for your company, would you like to employ them? We find that many of them have a lot of concerns. Firstly, they said that we don't have enough expertise on how to manage disability in our workplaces. The second challenge, they said, is that we have very few positions that's suitable for people with disability, consider they have many barriers in our workplaces. Thirdly, they also concerned about the safety issues for people with disability when they're working in there. They hope that those kind of risk can be reduced by other external stakeholders. But the situation in China now that the employers still lack of those kind of support at those moments. For example, how to provide reasonable accommodation, how to build barrier-free workplaces. Those kind of support is still very few in China for employers. Secondly, if you think about the employment service agencies and also disability organizations who can provide employment support to employers, the resources are still scattered and they are not very familiar with the situation and also the positions from the employers. So when we talk with those kind of agencies providing services, they are more confident on working with people with disabilities, but have very few confidence and also resources to support employers. On the other hand, certainly from the people with disability side, we find that they have very little employment support when they develop their CVs, they're looking for jobs, and even when they find jobs in the companies, there is still lack of support for them to be retained in the workplaces. So that's the general situation in China. Actually, the government tried to provide a lot of legislation that require employers to at least to have 1.5% of people with disability in their workplaces. If they don't meet the requirements, they need to pay a levy to the government. But still, the real situation is that many companies still rather pay the levy instead of employ people with disability, considering the challenge I just shared with you. So our company, So Easy Inclusion, is trying very hard to support this kind of inclusive employment in China, and we have 3 solutions provided to our customers. Our first customer is employers. What we have done is that we provide inclusive employment services and also to provide support on the attitudinal change inside the companies, so that through disability equality training, through tailor-made inclusion workshop and awareness-raised trainings, and also developed some tailor-made consultancies, the companies can start from zero and also to have the confidence, competence, and commitment to include people with disability in their companies. But this is the first stage when companies really start to have the inclusion journey. We find that when companies start to roll out this kind of project, they need to talk with business cohorts and also to share best practice. That's why in 2018, in July, Easy Inclusion became the coordinator for ILO Global Business and Disability Network in China. This is a GBDN is a global network that they are made of multinational companies, but in China we have a lot of very active members as well as national companies that would like to share this kind of best practice to other business cohorts. So we developed annual conference, newsletters, and also common tours that the employers can share their knowledge and also expand the confidence to other employers. Now we have 19 business members and also 19 founding inclusive employment service resources center, so that the companies can find enough support when they have challenges, they want to have support, they can talk to GBDN-China chapter. On the other hand, we also provide capacity building to employment service agencies. This is also very important that the staff from the we call it supplier side, they provide human resources of people with disability. They need to know what kind of capacity and softer skills are matched with employers' needs. So we also provide training on position analysts, we provide job coach trainings, and also we provide best practice sharing among the service providers, so that they know that not only they need to have expertise to understand people with disability, but also they need to understand the employers, and those kind of job matching can be succeed. Thirdly, we also provide to college students with disability in China. At this moment in China, there are more than 10,000 people with disability who have a college degree and graduate from university. And our social enterprise focus on how to make them confident and have enough support to write to their CVs, to successfully go through the interviews, and also retain their jobs at the first 6 months in the company. So we have some very successful projects. One we want to share with you is that we work with Standard Chartered Global Business Service. They developed a Path to Succeed project that they provide online courses. We provide mentoring program for college students with disabilities, and also offline workshops that the HR professionals can train and provide information to the students for people with disabilities so that they have the confidence to go to the inclusive labor market. So this is a general background about GBDN China and also ease inclusion. I hope those information will be helpful for you. You will hear a lot of best practice and some personal sharings later. I hope you can enjoy the sessions, and also we hope to join hands with you in China to promote inclusive employment together. Thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoy the sessions later. Bye-bye.
Hello everyone. Today my topic is Flat Zhuhai Inclusive Employment Program. Before my speech, let me show you the video to introduce myself. I'm Angela. I come from China. Because of my vision loss, I had to quit my job when I was 24. But now, because of my visual impairment, I had found a new job. I'm working in Flex Zhuhai CSER department. I'm the assistant of director and in charge of barrier-free program. Flex provides us barrier-free facilities, so there are many kinds of employees with disability here. I'm so lucky that I can work equally as others. However, in China, most of people with visual impairment can only do massage. Losing vision, like novel coronavirus, make people with visual impairment have to isolate. I just want to let everybody know, free to be yourself, no matter we can see or not. I summarized the outline of my speech. Firstly, what is Flex? Secondly, why do we have the inclusive employment program? Thirdly, how do we carry out this program? What is Flex? Flex is the manufacturing partners of the choice that help diverse customers base, design, and build the products that improve the world. Flex delivers technology innovation, supply chains, and manufacturing solutions to the diverse of industry and markets. Flex has more than 177,000 employees worldwide, including 3,000 engineers and designers. We have over 20 design centers and 1,000 customers. Our revenue goes beyond $24 billion a year. Our purpose is to make great products for the customers, creating the values and improving people's lives. At Flex, inclusion and diversity is a very important part of our company culture. Diversity is the key to our success. Our competitive edge lies in the diversity of all the employees spread across over 30 countries. We recognize every individual values is the key to our success. For this reason, we partnered with the community all around the world to break the barrier and promote the changes in the way we live and work. Flex People with Disability aims to create inclusive workplace for all the employees with disability. What is inclusion? When we mention the word inclusion, what comes to your mind? Does it mean everything exists in the same frame? Obviously not. Inclusion means all the things not only exist in the same frame, but can also get along well with each other. Let's see the 4 pictures. Colorful balls symbolize PWD, and the blue balls symbolize non-PWD. The biggest picture shows colorful balls and blue balls are in the same circle together. That's inclusion. The three smaller pictures shows the process of inclusion. In the beginning, PWD are excluded. Then, as PWD gain more rights, they begin living within the same circle, but they're still segregated. Now, as a disability model veered towards integration, we seem to live in the same circle, although PWD are still gathering closely. Ideally, the circle separated colorful balls from blue balls should be broken. How do we do it? Let's move on to the next two pictures. In the first picture, three children of different height standing on the wooden box behind the wall are watching the games. But only the tallest boy and girl can see the game. In the second picture, the tallest boy gave the wooden box to the shortest boy, so all of them can see the game. Is there any other solution? Yes, the best way is to move the wall so that all of them can equally watch the game. Who else will get benefit from inclusion? Apart from PWD, all of us will. In addition, accessible facilities is useful to everybody. For example, when we built the ramp for people with wheelchair, people pushing the cargo or baby carriage can also use it. Flex is making great effort on inclusive employment across our sites. We have hired many PWD in China, India, Malaysia, Brazil, and so on. Let me take Flex Zhuhai site in China as an example to show you what we do for inclusive employment. Our barrier-free program in Flex Zhuhai was launched in 2015. At the beginning of this program, we just had 13 employees of disability. How did we carry out? Firstly, top management learned and applied the benchmark set by stakeholder network. Secondly, training were held for the variety teams to learn more about disability. Thirdly, we conducted strategic hiring. Fourthly, we carried out the evaluation actions. After that, the procedure was adjusted. Fifthly, many activities were held to encourage inclusion and diversity. In 2018, the number of PWD reached 550, and we set up Flex Inclusive Factory in 2019. For hiring PWD, we followed the centralized strategy. In the beginning, we hired people with hearing and speaking impairment whose disability level varied from light to serious. After trial succeeded, we started looking at some other types of disability. We hired people with physical disability, especially people with wheelchair. In 2019, we started to hire people with visual impairment and intellectual disability. At Flex Zhuhai, inclusive job fairs are held with partnership and internship program commences every summer. To improve disability awareness, we hold the Disability Equality Training once a month and Disability Awareness Week event, which launched by corporate team, is held once a year. We also cooperate with partnerships such as China Disabled Person Federation, NGO, and Disability Network. As a member of Global Business Disability Network, we proactively participate in all kinds of events. I'm the first employee with visual impairment at Flex Zhuhai. Many colleagues are very curious about me because IT accessibility is not very known in China. So they always ask me, "Hi Angela, how do you work?" I always show the screen reader software in my laptop and mobile phone, which can help me read the content. Facility and IT department also worked with me to improve the accessibility. We implement the blind sidewalk, voice reminder in elevator, and high color contrast signs, as well as improved flag system to make it more accessible. We will plan to hire more people with visual impairment. Flex Inclusive Factory was established in 2019. The program is dedicated to promoting the employment for people with intellectual disability. Recently, 15 people with intellectual disability, including autism and Down syndrome, were hired. They worked from an independent workshop that covered 250 square meters with 3 qualified job coaches, providing them one-on-one training. Through the accessible feature and the guidance, they can perform assembly, labeling, and packaging tasks. For FIF members, not only do they have the good job, but it's the first time for them to experience responsibility, teamwork, and feel capable. We can see they become more confident and happier after they join FIF. That's all my sharing. Thank you so much for inviting me to give this speech. Inclusive employment is a long journey that requires all of us to strive for it. We hope we can enhance our communication and cooperation in the future. Inclusion is not only good for people with disability, but also for everybody. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Yu Qingquan. I am the founder and CEO of Shibao, a leading HR company from China. I am glad to share with you our project. First, I want to show you a video.
It takes multiple efforts from being different to being the same. From being different to being the same, how much effort does it need? Photo of Zhang Xiaopei, congenital severe hearing impairment. I was born like this. I had no choice. I wanted to hear the sound of the world. I wanted to hear my own voice. A photo of Li Ye, acquired physical disability. My destiny changed in an instant, and no one wants to accept it. I really don't want to just admit my fate. I don't want to be a burden to my family. Wang Li, career counselor. Of 15 people on average, there is a person with a disability. I always tell them, tomorrow will be better. I often say to myself, everything will be better. From the city to a village, from business to family, we use actions to strive for understanding and use communication to bring each other closer. They are always trying to get better. From the beginning to the real understanding, Zhang Xiaopei says, I don't remember how many times I gave up. They encouraged me again and again, which made me believe in myself more and more. I was desperate during that time. I thought my life was over. Lucky to have their guidance. Let me see the new direction of life. In the past, our education is to explore the direction alone in practice. Now we communicate with more people and help them get better into society. We want to prove, actually, they can do more. We use the internet and new technologies to realize employment dreams for more people with disabilities. Self-realization and value creation. In Tonglu, I learned to use my hands to create my own happy life. In Tonglu, I have mastered new skills and participated in the completion of the latest project. In Tonglu, my students and family can have a more secure income and a safer life. In Tonglu, we provide technical platform support for enterprises. We provide employment training and employment opportunities for disability awareness. From caring to acceptance and recognition, from social assistance to self-independence and value creation. More and more people choose to walk with us. We believe that we cannot have a bright and glorious future without you. By 2020, we will build a moderately prosperous society in an all-around way, realize the first centenary goal, and build a well-off society in an all-around way. And we're going to include every single person with disabilities. Xi Jinping. Together, with one heart, we're on the same way.
China has the largest population of people with disabilities. According to the latest official survey, there are over 85 million disabled persons in China. Do you have any idea of this number? Let me put it another way. Just imagine that it is about 10 times the Austrian population. Among them, 34 million are at their working age. This has become a big social problem. In order to solve it, the Chinese government has issued many laws. One of them is the employment regulations for the disabled. By this law, companies have to hire disabled persons at some rate. But in practice, companies from developed regions can't find the disabled, while those disabled from underdeveloped regions can't find jobs. This is because of unbalanced development, lack of recruitment experience, disabled people's relatively poor education. Making every job secure is our mission. Now we are solving social problems by various ways. So far, we are serving 36,000 companies and 1.4 million people. In early 2018, we started a project which aims to bridge the demand gap between companies from developed areas and the disabled from underdeveloped regions. On one hand, we provided people with disabilities with trainings and support. On the other hand, we set up a job website for companies to find and manage their disabled staff, so that those from remote areas could work at home. We are the first to train and employ people with disabilities who study cultural heritage in China. This makes me very proud. Now, many cultural skills are dying out. It is very hard for the physically healthy people to study such skills since they are easily distracted. But when we set up special training programs for hearing impaired persons, they learn the skills truly fast because they are more patient and easier to focus on the work due to being free from outside noises. This shows that disability might bring advantages under some creative conditions. With 3 years hard work, we have set up over 20 employment service centers for persons with disabilities, which are providing recruitment service to over 1,000 companies and free training to the disabled people for up to 10,037 times. In 2020, we proudly partnered with the GBDN-China Creative Center so as to provide inclusive employment services to more firms and disabled persons. In last May, to fight against COVID-19, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said, "When we secure the rights of people with disabilities, we are investing in our common future." As an entrepreneur, besides my own company's goal, I hope to help more persons with disabilities to find jobs and do more to promote inclusive development by joining hands with everyone.
Hello everyone, I am Sissi and I am also a visually impaired person from China. First of all, I just want to say sorry for you because of COVID-19 and some new cases are found around my community. So I locked down and the PPT that I prepared may not be played. In the absence of the PPT, I really do hope everyone doesn't feel boring. Okay, I just want to share 3 stories for you related to Chinese inclusive employments as employees with disability and from my own working experiences. I was graduated from my university some years ago, and I was very lucky at the time because I had a chance to intern in Save the Children Hong Kong. At that time, one of my jobs is that I assist the donor service department to do some data analysis. But some data of the pictures are not able to read by my screen readers. So when I was described my challenge that I faced to my supervisor, she immediately arranged a new colleague to help me deal with the pictures work. And they emphasized that I don't need to have any burdens because this is just a method to improve my work efficiency, and it is called reasonable accommodation. With the reasonable accommodation supporting, my internship in the Save the Children was completed successfully. And I also understand more clearly the meanings and the importance of the reasonable accommodation in inclusive employment. After returning to the mainland, since I participated in the project of inclusive employment in Hong Kong, I worked in easy inclusion as a job coach for employees or job seekers with disability, as well as enterprises which have willing to recruit persons with disability, and I provide them supporting. I also and my supervisor did some training, such as DET training, means disability equality training, and we also do customized some inclusive handbook for motivational enterprises. Through our efforts, more and more job seekers with disability have established good cooperation with enterprises. So through this experience, I think that maybe professional supporting can more effectively promote a development of Chinese inclusive employment. Now I am working in the internet technology company. The proportion of employee with disability in our company have reached 30%, but we still can't avoid prejudice and stereotypes. The stereotypes and prejudice mainly comes from the group with their imagination of the group with disability. So from this situation, I think maybe accept reasonable accommodation and professional supporting, the self-advocacy become more important. But our company have a positive attitude in inclusive education because, inclusive employment. Because of COVID-19, we developed online projects of inclusive employment for persons with for the whole persons with disability, and we also promote this project through social media. I don't know what is your thinkings and feelings after listening my short 3 stories. In my opinion, I think maybe Chinese inclusive employment is at initial stage, and no matter NGO and employees with disabilities and enterprises, the professional inclusive experts all have make great efforts to develop inclusive employment. Meanwhile, the strategy of inclusive employment should be adjusted according to actual situation of the company. However, as long as the persons with disability can integrate smoothly in the mainstream job markets and the enterprises can better understand the values and abilities of persons with disability, the Chinese inclusive employment will promote more effectively. Thank you. Thanks for your listening.
Hi, my name is Kathy Johnson, and I'm from St.Cloud State University in Minnesota. I would like to introduce my colleague and friend, Xiaorong Zhou, who is a visiting scholar, research scholar at St.Cloud State University. Xiaorong is researching deaf education, accessibility, and sign language linguistics to help promote and advance the employment for individuals who are deaf in China, including individuals with disabilities in leadership roles for advancing employment opportunities in China is an essential part of the process. The voices, perspectives, and expertise of people with disabilities needs to be included, heard, and respected for change to happen moving forward.
Hello, everybody. My name is Xiaorong, and I'm here in the U.S. I work here as a research scholar. I work with Dr. Kathy Johnson, as well as Dr. Amy Knopf. The three of us work together on Chinese Sign Language development and deaf disability and deaf advocacy programs. We're going to be talking about the China deaf employment perspectives, employment issues and perspectives. Deaf Chinese people searching for a job is not an easy thing to do. They encounter communication barriers, and there are 3 dilemmas that I'd like to talk about. There are a variety of hearing companies with deaf people who are often on the outside. Most deaf people graduate with a bachelor's degree, but very few graduate with a master's degree. And so when they graduate, they upload their resumes and they wait for the calls, and then when the phone rings, a deaf person can't answer the phone. They would typically text the company back and say, "Hi, I'm deaf, I can't speak, I'm sorry." And the company would say, "Oh, you're deaf, I'm sorry, but don't come." And the deaf person would feel frustrated and appalled and what to do, and still kept on the outside. For those who manage to actually get a job, there are still problems that they face from within. For example, during meetings in a room full of hearing people, everybody might be talking very loudly, and the deaf person may ask a hearing co-worker, what are they saying? And they say, oh, you don't need to know, it's not important. You can just go work independently. And the deaf person feels dumbfounded by that, because then what should they do? The CPRD requires that deaf employees be provided with an interpreter. And the company themselves didn't know that they needed to provide an interpreter, that they could help to provide interpreters. With the deaf person within the maybe not being as skilled as their hearing peers, hearing people would often advance much more quickly because deaf people would find themselves in situations where they were left behind. And it's often because the deaf universities have very limited choices on what they can study. For example, they can study art and they can study computer programming, and that's it. Teachers often teach things very superficially, thinking that deaf students really don't need to know any more than what they're being told. But here in America, what I've studied and what I've researched and what I've noticed is they have accessibility for everything. Interpreters are readily made available for me. It's like there are no barriers, and I've got 2 examples I'd like to share. During a trip to the eye doctor, my prescription needed to be changed to my glasses, and I had to go to the hospital. And so the hospital actually provided an interpreter with me. And so the interpreter and I were able to sit at the doctor's office, and the interpreter listened to everything that was said, heard my concerns, and was able to skillfully translate back to me and back to the doctor what was being said. And it was just amazing to me. The interpreter was very visual, using her hands, and it was very visually inclusive. In China, I never got that type of interpreting. And so what I've learned here in America is that's what it should be like there. Another example is that I went into a master's level class, and this was a medical class, a medical topics class, and all the students were hearing, and I was the only deaf student in the class. And even then, they provided me an interpreter. And so it made communication very easy for me. So myself being deaf and sign language being my first language, I felt as though I was included, and they were all very friendly. With the requirement for disability access, it made me feel like it was easy to join and easy to learn. So my goals are, I want to encourage more access and inclusion for all deaf Chinese education, for everybody within deaf education. In the higher education, the choices are not as broad, and we need more educational options. The reason being is that deaf students can have more opportunity to progress, and making it easier for deaf people to get jobs. Another one of my goals is that I want to encourage deaf people to get to know and use interpreters when they need one. I've noticed that when we need to increase getting more, we need to get more quality interpreters, and we need to get a high quality standard of interpretation through interpreter certification. I want the deaf community to gain easier access, helping the deaf community to become more independent, to be able to get interpreters, to be able to get the jobs they want, and to be able to feel like we are all equal. So I would like to thank the Zero Project for inviting us. We also want to thank our panelists for joining us to do their presentations, their discussions, and their sharing. What a wonderful collaboration. Thank you. And thank you to the audience for joining us. I hope that we have all learned more about helping and empowering, about collaboration and growth. And lastly, we are excited to share a surprise for all of you. Here is a video that I'd like to share with you.
If you see me, take me just the way I am. We could change the world because we understand. If we both are part of the same society, I could be me. Zero barriers, zero walls, zero borders, zero bonds, zero limits. By reaching our aim, zero project, the dignity of man.
Hey, if you give me chances and take me by the hand, if you let me grow and if you let me be, if we all gave up our partiality, then I could be free.
Zero barriers, zero walls, zero borders, zero bonds, zero limits. Reaching our aim, zero project, the dignity of man. Zero borders, zero bonds, zero limits. By reaching out